Welcome to HOA Lending Exchange, and welcome to your webinar. To help you get started, get familiar, and get results with our system. I'm Bob Gorley. I'll be your tour guide and advisor as we take a look at the HOA Lending Exchange website to see how you can get the most out of all the site has to offer. As we get underway, I'd like to confirm that the presentation is being broadcast properly. Do you see the opening screen at this time?
Yes, I do, Mr. Gorley.
All right, great. Before we get started, I want to take a minute to help you familiarize yourself with the webinar platform we're using. If you've used GoToWebinar before, you may already know how it works. This is a live presentation. We're doing all we can to keep the background noise to a minimum, and that includes muting your microphones at this time. That doesn't mean you can't participate or interact with me, but it does mean you'll need to use the questions dialog box on the side of your screen to do so. Simply type in any questions you might have, and I will address them at the end of the presentation. You can also get my attention by clicking the Raise Your Hand icon in the GoToWebinar participation window on your screen. The first thing I'd like to point out is that the site was designed by a banker with many years of lending experience to the HOA and community association marketplace. Just like you, he was faced with the challenge of continually reaching out to as many condominium and HOA property managers, board members, HOA attorneys, vendors, really anyone who might direct him to the next HOA lending opportunity. Many of you have been successful doing the same kind of thing. Your bank has a reputation for making HOA loans, and a certain amount of business was directed your way simply because you were in the right place at the right time. What if I told you HOA Lending Exchange wants to always put you in the right place at the right time? You can have access to a greater volume of loan leads than you're currently experiencing. The greatest competitive advantage you can give yourself by using HOA Lending Exchange is to take advantage of how we actively market to decision makers. We actively target management company owners, individual community association managers, association board members, and association vendors that all drive HOA loan inquiries to our site. In turn, we drive all of those HOA loan inquiries to you. The world is being upended by the virtues of technology, as we see with industry-changing technologies like Uber replacing taxi cabs, Amazon.com versus Target, Facebook versus print media, and others. In the financial world, the growth of the so-called fintech industry has shown that relatively new businesses like Lending Club and Prosper are leaving banks in the dust, especially small regional banks. The world lives on and seeks services from the web. The old technology that most of you are experiencing is a high-cost sales representative trying to build and maintain a relationship with a management company. What does the word relationship even mean anymore? That sales representative brings cookies to the management company office monthly, takes people out for drinks, and even may waste a day on a golf course? And then there are those mind-numbing lunches. The thousands of dollars spent on a couple hours at a trade show, the tens of thousands of dollars spent on print media that you have no idea if anyone is even looking at. It's a really, really expensive and really, really inefficient process. There is a phrase coined by a highly regarded HOA industry leader regarding sales representatives and their work ethic: 10 to 2, T to T, which means they work from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Tuesdays through Thursdays. Conversely, our website, HOA Lending Exchange, is on all the time. You just need to respond. Regardless of what you think of the stability of your current relationships, the world is changing around you. The managers and boards are younger, which is to mean they are more tech savvy. They're growing up searching the web for all they need. By the way, they're healthier and do not eat the cookies that are brought in monthly. Also, you're aware that the golf industry has been collapsing for the past 10 years? Millennials see no sense in that wasteful distraction. Print media, what's that? Your existing business model is dying, which means your cost of delivery is increasing. Further, and more importantly, boards want and require competitive bids from banks, at least 3 usually, just as they do from a landscape contractor. Just because you are the local name no longer carries the weight it once did. Just because you're a current industry leader does not mean the borrower does not have better options. Because of technology, the deals and the industry are yours to lose or win, depending on how competitive you are. We are the solution. With HOA Lending Exchange, you'll receive only the business leads that you want to see, with no effort or cost. These leads come qualified with enough measurement metrics to determine whether they are creditworthy for your bank's credit culture and credit policy. You need simply provide a loan concept for them to review. Here's how it works. After you join our network of preferred lenders, HOA Lending Exchange sends qualified loan seekers to you based on lending parameters you select. If you wish only to see HOA loan leads from Georgia, that's all we'll send you. If you only want to see HOA loan leads larger than $250,000, we've got you covered. If you only want to see HOA loan leads from residential condos with more than 50 units, then that's all you'll see. HOA Lending Exchange does all this by using your universal lending profile to pre-screen HOA loan seekers. This saves you time by filtering out the chatter that isn't of interest to you. Let's take a closer look. When you set up a lending profile on HOA Lending Exchange, you'll tell us all about the HOA loans that interest you. You'll identify the types of HOA loan leads that you want to see. We'll ask you to select the minimum number of units, the minimum and maximum loan amount, the types of associations you service, and the states that you service. With these 5 pieces of core data, HOA Lending Exchange is able to send you only the HOA loan opportunities that interest you. These are your universal lending limits. The efficiency of seeing only what you want to see saves you huge amounts of time and money. When HOA Lending Exchange is alerted to HOA loan seekers that match your criteria, we spring into action and send you an email alerting you to the opportunity. You then have 3 business days to respond. For proper customer servicing, 3 business days is more than enough time to let the HOA loan seeker know that you're interested in their business. This is a key concept for you to understand, because it's one of the pillars that defines the excellent customer service for the borrower that HOA Lending Exchange uses to entice them to use the service. Also, if you don't respond within the 3 business days, it's quite likely that one of your competitors has. The market expects and is entitled to an appropriate level of customer servicing. After receiving your email that an HOA loan opportunity awaits you, you simply need to head back to HOALendingXchange.com and log into the system using your specific login credentials. More on that in a moment. After you log in, you'll be taken to your customized dashboard where the real magic happens. At the top of this page are 2 gauges that will let you know how you're doing. We'll get back to those in just a bit. Below the gauges is your summary of all activity by category. This is where all your HOA loan opportunities lie. The very first section is your new loan inquiries. This is where you find all of the opportunities that match the lending criteria you set in the universal lending limits. There are no loan opportunities here that do not match your criteria. This is gold. But just like gold, it needs to be mined, and quickly. These opportunities come with an expiration date, which is 3 business days from when we alerted you to the opportunity. You receive email reminders to take action. You'll be mining these opportunities by submitting your best competitive lending concept for the borrowers to review and hopefully select. And if you take too long, one of your competitors will get the gold. Let's take a closer look at a loan opportunity to see how you will use it to make your own gold. Let's click on the View Loan button to see what opportunity awaits. Here is all of the data provided to HOA Lending Exchange by this HOA loan seeker. You can see all of the crucial pieces of information you need to make a decision whether or not to put forth a lending concept to this HOA. You set the initial criteria, so the loan will fall within your set parameters. The number of units, the loan amount, the geography, and the type of association are all indicators that this is the type of HOA you would like as a loan client. However, there are even more data fields presented here, which could make them either more or less attractive depending on your particular lending criteria. The left-hand column shows key indicators. You can quickly scan these numbers to confirm your interest. The right-hand blocks are a bit more information to tell the rest of the story and give you a sense of the general fiscal health of this association. Do they look like an association you would like to do business with? For today's example, let's assume they do. We're going to go ahead and click the red Submit Concept button to get started. Understand, you're not issuing a loan approval. You're only electing to move forward with an opportunity that appears to be a qualified lead. Here's where the magic of the HOA Lending Exchange website really shines. Preparing a lending concept from scratch is really old-fashioned and outdated. Using HOA Lending Exchange, some of the basics are already taken care of, because you told us how you typically handle these requests when you set up your initial profile. First up is the credit line and term rate. We suggest you be as aggressive as possible here and treat this opportunity as if the loan were going to close today. You're not committing yourself or your bank to anything firm here. This is simply you putting forth your best competitive rate for the borrower to take notice of. Obviously, you have to be realistic, but you should always be mindful that you're competing for this borrower's interest. If you aren't competitive, the borrower isn't going to select your lending concept, and you will lose the opportunity entirely. As you progress along the remaining fields, you'll be prompted to enter information about loan fees, prepayment penalties, length of credit line, term of loan, and your bank's deposit requirements. Although all of these fields can be modified, you'll be pleasantly surprised to find many of them already filled out with the information you provided us when you set up your lending profile, or it's derived from one of the additional profiles you may have created to address lending attitudes at higher levels of dollar ranges. HOA Lending Exchange offers you the ability to set up as many loan profiles as you may wish, and we encourage you to set up several just to save you time when submitting lending concepts. You don't have to use this feature, but we think you'll find it quite useful and time-saving when submitting lending concepts that fall within your defined parameters. Once you have reviewed the data entered in the various fields and are pleased with your lending concept, you're ready to click the red Submit Lending Concept button. You're going to have one more chance to review all of this data. Nothing is going to the borrower yet. Let's see what happens when we click the Submit Lending Concept button. We're now looking at the Review Loan Concept screen. This is how your lending concept will be presented to the borrower once you click the red Submit Concept button. If you're happy with what you see and you're ready to proceed, go ahead and submit your concept. If you need to modify any fields, click the Make Changes button. If you're not ready to submit this concept for some reason, you can click on the Dashboard button and the system will save the work you've done so far. The unsubmitted concept will reappear on your dashboard under the Unsubmitted Loan Concept section. Keep in mind, the 3 business day window to respond is still in play. Be sure to get back to the opportunity before it expires, or one of your competitors will. Before you click the red Submit Concept button, be sure to read the notice about the charge you will incur from HOA Lending Exchange if the borrower selects your concept. This is the fee you will incur if, and only if, the borrower decides to select your submitted lending concept. If the borrower does not select your concept, there's no fee to you. Of course, you also won't be making any gold off of this loan opportunity, because that would mean it went to another bank. Your show of interest to this point has not cost you anything. Once you have submitted your concept and the 3 business day period expires, HOA Lending Exchange notifies the borrower to come back to the website and review the lending concept that you have prepared for them. If they like what they see, they'll let HOA Lending Exchange know by asking that we exchange their contact information with you and your contact information with them. This is a successful match. When the successful match occurs, both the borrower and the lender receive emails from HOA Lending Exchange alerting them to the match and providing them with each other's contact information. As a lending professional, it's now up to you to take action and close the deal. The great news is that, at this point, you have a highly qualified and uniquely interested borrower ready to do business with you. You have both looked each other over and said this looks like the right match for this HOA loan. Remember those gauges at the top of your dashboard that we looked at earlier? Have you figured out how they work yet? The left-hand gauge looks at how many times you answered the call when an HOA loan opportunity was presented to you. Since you set the parameters for which loans are sent your way, you should be submitting lending concepts for these opportunities quite often, if not every time one comes your way. This gauge shows how active you are in the market. The right-hand gauge measures how well you did competing when you submitted an offer for a borrower to review and select. The more times your concept was selected, the better you're performing. This gauge shows you how competitive you are with other banks when preparing loan concepts for the borrowers to evaluate. Top HOA lenders will strive to keep both gauges in the green. By now, I can tell you're ready to learn more about how to get started. As you might have guessed, we've made it incredibly simple. Start by clicking on the Lenders Join Our Network link at the top of the HOALendingXchange.com homepage. You'll come to a very simple form where you'll provide us with your name and pertinent contact information. It's important that you accurately enter this information because this is how we will contact you, And this is the information we will provide to borrowers once they select your lending concept. You will use the email address you provided along with the password you selected to log back into the system on future visits. We will also ask you for your supervisor's information. Again, this has a twofold purpose. Your supervisor will have the ability to remove you from the system should you leave the bank's employ. More importantly, your supervisor will have the ability to track your success using our system. We send a monthly reminder to the supervisor to visit the site and review your progress. When you succeed, the bank succeeds. That makes for happy supervisors, doesn't it? Your active and aggressive action allows you to make sales goals without much effort. Finally, you'll be asked to provide a credit card so that HOA Lending Exchange can accept payment from you when a successful match is made between you and one of our highly qualified borrowers. Your credit card information is never stored on our servers. Rather, we use the credit card processing firm Stripe.com to handle all transactions. If you have any questions about your credit card security, I would encourage you to visit the Stripe.com website. Once you've completed this final step, you're good to go with HOA Lending Exchange, and we can start sending HOA loan prospects to you so you can start closing loan deals. It really is that simple. Again, to recap today's webinar, HOA Lending Exchange is an exciting and modern way to take your HOA lending career to the next level. You'll always be in the right place at the right time. After you join our system, we will provide you with only qualified HOA loan seekers who fit your lending parameters. Our automated tools make it easier and more efficient for you to do your job of finding qualified lending prospects. The service is free of charge for all borrowers, and there's never a charge to you unless there is a successful match of a highly qualified borrower and you. It really is that simple and that efficient. Are you ready to go make some gold? Join our network of lenders today and start receiving your share of qualified leads. Thank you for your time. I'll now answer any questions you may have posted during the webinar, or you may ask them now. Well, I think we've answered all the questions. If you have others, please email us directly at info@HOALendingXchange.com or call us at 860-428-1309. Thank you for your time. Now let's go make some gold.